make custom textures in Blender and Gimp. Here's a little quick model I whipped up to show how to do that. Um, so first, we're going to go into Blender and we're going to click on our materials from last video if you have any on your object. And we're just going to click the X and remove all our materials. First thing we're going to do is want to make UV maps for each part of our sword. So the first thing we're going to do is uh, so we're going to go to UV editing, and you're going to select your model. We're going to go to the Z-axis. There's multiple ways to do this, but I find this is the easiest for simple models like we have. So you just want to make sure all your vertices are selected, and then we're going to go to UV, and we're just going to go project from view, and we're going to get this pop-up over here. So first what you want to do is, just to make it easier on yourself, we're going to rotate this R90, and then we're going to press X and size it up just a little bit. And then we're going to export this, and the export size, as you can see in the unpacked BSAs, 256 by 256, 128 by 256, 256 by 128, so just multiples of 128 basically. There are some larger textures that I think are 512. I don't see any right here, but um, 256 should be fine. For smaller models, I'd use 512, so 256 times 2 for bigger models. Um, so we're going to go back to Blender and we're going to export this UV, and we want fill opacity on 1. You can adjust this if you want, but it's going to make editing in GIMP more difficult. So for this one, we're going to go 256 by 256. You can also do 256 by 128 to make it skinnier and size it however you want, but we're just going to go 256 by 256. It does take up slightly more space, but that's not a huge problem. And so we're going to export this UV layout. I'm going to do it again just to save as, we'll call it Blade 1 since I already did one test run. We're going to export that UV layout, and then we're going to open it in GIMP. So go wherever you saved um, your UV layout and just double click open it. And to scroll in GIMP, you're going to want to hold control and then scroll on your mouse. First thing we're going to do is get the fuzzy tool, and we're just going to click on the background. You can adjust the threshold, and that will adjust how much it selects. And there's one other tool. Sometimes it might be hard to select each inside because it selects by basically color. So it might get one square, and then you'll have this line where the lines are for your model, and you don't want that usually. So you can go to left click select, and then you want to just go to grow selection, and that will increase the amount of things selected, and it will fill the overlaps between your selections. So first thing we're going to do is the next thing we're going to do is going to go to new layer. We're just going to press OK, and now we're already in the selected texture layer, and we can grab the paint bucket and we'll fill the background with black, background color black, and we will and then we can grab the fuzzy select tool, since I'm just going to do a uniform fill for this one, and we'll select the inside, and we'll go back to our fill tool, and then we'll just click the pattern fill, and we'll drop the red paint in there. As you can see on the top, it just measures the pixels as well, so you can check to see if you're at 256, which we are. And now we're going to go File, Export As, select File Type, and then we're going to scroll down to DDS Image. You can add compression if you want, but I'm not going to here. So we're going to open back up Blender, and we're going to create a Morrowind shader for this piece. We'll go back into object mode, and we're going to go back to layout, and you don't have to do that, but we're going to go to base texture, open, and then we're going to add Blade 1 DDS, which is what we just created, and you'll see that we have our texture filled out. and it looks all right. This is more for the point of how to do it as opposed to the artistic part. Um, so we're going to select our guard right here, and we're going to go back to UV editing. And so this is going to be the smart UV project, I believe, to get this, because we actually have a top, whereas the blade, we kind of have the full perspective of the blade. So this texture makes sense here, just to use the top down. And so we can, now we're going to click UV, export UV layout, and we're going to call this guard 1. We'll keep it 256 by 256. We'll export the UV layout, and then we'll go back to Gimp and repeat what we just did. File, open, and then we'll get guard 1. And then we'll also create a new layer. And we'll go down to our main layer. This is where you can do the fuzzy select, and it's only going to recognize the things in that layer to select the outline. So we'll select this outline, control scroll in, and hold shift. And we'll select this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then we'll go back to our texture layer, which is the layer that we want to export, so we don't have any lines or anything in it. And then we're going to bucket fill. We'll choose a new pattern for this part. And actually, and we can just make it, we'll just go with this blue color. Actually, I want to fill the background first, sorry. We'll go background color, turn it black, then pattern fill. We'll fuzzy select the rest of what we didn't fill, and we will fill that with a new pattern. You can also take the brushes and just create your own patterns, draw whatever you want. In this area, it will be recognized. Anything outside really won't be recognized, so it's not a big deal. So anyways, we'll go back to File, and we'll export as, and then we'll select File by type again, DDS image, and we'll export. And we'll go back to Blender, and we'll go back to create Morrowind shader, and then we'll use base texture open, and we'll just use the guard 1. All right, that did not work. Oh, I used the PNG. So we'll delete that, open, guard 1 DDS, and now we have our new texture. And then we will select this part, and we will, and we can delete that. And then we can just go to UV editing. Sorry, you have to enter edit mode to proc this, but it'll automatically go to edit mode if you select UV editing and you have a part selected. So now we have our part selected, we have our map. Again, if you want to get this exact map, you just smart UV project. It'll switch it up a little bit, but it'll generally give you some type of smart UV project. And now we're just going to go UV, export UV layout. One more time, we'll just call this handle 1. 256 by 256. And then we'll export the UV layout. And then we'll go back to Gimp. We'll close this one. And then we'll file open. And then we'll go down to handle 1 PNG. And we'll open this. We'll do our fuzzy select. Hold shift to select multiple areas. Control to zoom in. And then we will add our new layer. And on this layer, we'll just go ahead and fill the background color. And then we'll go to fuzzy select, and we can select everything else. And we will just add something we'll just add this. And then we'll go back to our fill bucket, pattern fill, and now we have an interesting handle design. In the O file, export as, select file type, DDS image, export. Just practice this a few times with just, non-unique designs. And then we can go back to add material, and then we'll add a base texture, open, and we'll just go handle 1 DDS, and we'll go back to layout, and we have our handle. So what we want to do next is select all, and then we'll file, export, Morrowind NIF, we'll call this tutorial test 2, and then make sure you have check preserve material. You can uncheck export animations if you want, doesn't really matter. And then we will check it out in NifSkope. So we're just going to open, we'll go tutorial sword test 2, and now we have our design in NifSkope. And there you have it. Now you can make custom designs using Gimp and Blender to have your customly designed sword, and how it looks in NifSkope will be basically what it looks like in Morrowind.